Most people have been bitten by a mosquito, but few understand why the mosquito bites. Even fewer know the life and habits of this fascinating and important insect. About 3,000 different species of mosquito exist in the world. The female needs human or animal blood to reproduce. Only the female mosquito bites. The male is a vegetarian. The female mosquito, like the female of this human-biting species, Aedes cantans, needs proteins found in blood in order to develop her eggs. Eggs may be laid at any time during the summer and autumn, about 10 days after the female has fed. They are laid on wet leaves. This almost dried up pond is a typical breeding ground. The mosquito seems to be very particular about where she places her eggs. Chemical receptors at the end of her abdomen examine the surface to find suitable conditions. The eggs, which are less than 1 millimeter long, are laid individually or in groups, the mosquito pausing between batches to clean her abdomen. As soon as the eggs have been laid, the shells begin to darken. Within 2 hours, they are black. This coloration protects them from being discovered by predatory insects or birds. Having thus secured the next generation, the female dies. The eggs do not hatch the same year they are laid. They have to overwinter. In this form, the species survives the cold winter. The eggs hatch in the spring as the snows melt. In this pond are thousands of mosquito larvae, hatched from eggs that were laid the previous year. Not all species overwinter as eggs. Culex pipiens overwinters as an adult in hollow trees or caves. It bites birds and lays its eggs directly onto the water's surface. In this batch, eggs are stuck together in an upright position, forming a raft that may contain as many as 300 eggs. These eggs hatch only 2 or 3 days after being laid. All the larvae emerge almost simultaneously. As soon as the first one is out, the others follow. Within a minute, all the larvae are free and swimming in the water. They eat almost continuously and grow rapidly. Their skins soon become too tight to permit further growth, and they are ready for their first molt. The old skin is hard and brittle and cracks relatively easily. The new skin, which is underneath, is soft and elastic and allows further growth until it in turn becomes too tight. The larva sheds its skin 3 more times during its development. Two large fan-shaped bundles of bristles create currents in the water, carrying bacteria, algae, and other microorganisms to the larva's mouth. This is the larva of Culicitae morsitans, another species of bird-biting mosquito. A strikingly different larva is that of the Anopheles, the malaria-carrying mosquito. All mosquito larvae breathe through the posterior part of their body. The Anopheles larva uses 2 small holes on its abdomen. This is why this larva has to rest horizontally just under the water's surface. All other mosquito larvae breathe through a so-called siphon. Only the tip breaks through the water's surface. A waxy substance secreted at the tip enables the larva to hang by surface tension and prevents water from entering the 2 small openings. The air fills 2 large sacs, which are connected to a network of increasingly finer branches. Between the sacs is a very simple heart. The movement of the heart squeezes the sacs and thus pumps air through the system. Under the heart are the stomach and intestines, and here is the nervous system, consisting of a brain and 11 ganglia with branches. There are many forms of life in a pond, such as this dragonfly larva preying on mosquito larvae. Most of the mosquito larvae have now completed their 3rd molt. The final one will be very different. The transformation from larva to mosquito requires such extensive structural changes that it must be achieved in an intermediate pupa stage. The pupa, which has already developed inside the larval skin, is ready to emerge. It is so different from the larva that it's hard to believe it's the same insect. The siphon is sealed, and the pupa must manage without air for a while. Two new air tubes pop out near the front. The pupa must push them through the water's surface, or it will drown. The pupa differs from the larva in several ways. It does not breathe through its tail, but through the new air tubes protruding from the top of its body. It does not feed, and unlike most other insect pupae, it is able to move rapidly. The pupa stage lasts 3 to 4 days. Curled up inside the pupal case, the mosquito is now fully grown. The black spot near the front is the mosquito's left eye. Its eyes cover most of its head. These are the antennae, the proboscis, the legs, the thorax, wings, and abdomen. The mosquito is now ready to emerge. It swallows air and expands. The pupal case bursts open at the top. A fine layer of wax stops water from entering the split. Because drowning is a real danger, the mosquito must work its way through this opening without touching the water. Only its feet will eventually touch the water's surface, and the mosquito isn't safe until it can do that. Still swallowing air, the mosquito eases itself free from the pupal case. A mere puff of wind could be fatal. The female has a long, slender proboscis, which can pierce skin and suck blood. The female's antennae are primarily used for smelling, probably her most important organs for detecting a human victim. The proboscis and antennae of the male are different and serve other purposes. The mosquito has good vision. Each of its compound eyes consists of hundreds of separate lenses, all looking in slightly different directions. A human eye has only one single lens, focusing an image onto many thousands of light-sensitive nerve endings. A compound eye works differently. Each individual lens focuses only a small section of an image. A single nerve ending then sends that one piece of information to the brain. The resolution of the compound eye depends, therefore, on how many lenses are directed at a particular image. A moving object is seen efficiently by only a few individual lenses. After a rest of about half an hour, the mosquito flies off, leaving behind the empty pupil case. To obtain energy, mainly for its wing muscles, the mosquito drinks nectar. The female usually requires both nectar and blood for flight and reproduction. The male, on the other hand, lives exclusively on plant juices. Sometimes the mosquito serves a useful purpose, for example, in pollinating flowers. But danger lurks everywhere. These mosquitoes are now ready to mate. The male relies on his good hearing to find a female. The male hears with his antennae. The fine hairs vibrate as soon as they are struck by a sound wave. They are tuned to the wing beat from a female of the same species. The antenna pointing straight at the female vibrates most, a sort of sexual direction finder. The antennae are incredibly sensitive and are able to distinguish between flying males and females. The male has claspers around the sexual organs to hold the female during copulation in midair. Males form cloud-like swarms. When a female flies through such a swarm, some of the males may chase her, and the lucky one will fasten onto her. They will then mate as they fly off together in tandem. Mating is quickly achieved, and the male returns to the swarm. After mating, the female needs blood. Most human-biting mosquitoes belong to the Aedes group. But we can also be bitten by mosquitoes of the Culex, the Culicitae, and the Anopheles groups. Mosquitoes seem particularly numerous during the hours of dusk on warm summer evenings. The female mosquito is attracted by the warm, humid air, rich in carbon dioxide. But other unknown factors are also involved. The female uses her antennae to trace the source of these stimuli. As long as the stimuli increase in strength, the mosquito flies straight towards her victim. If they weaken, she turns. She will turn again and again until she finally lands. With sensitive labella on the proboscis, she searches for a suitable spot. The proboscis, or labium, is only a sheath for the actual stylus. The stylus, a sort of saw-tipped hypodermic needle, has the labrum, a tube for sucking up the blood, a pair of knife-sharp mandibles, a hypopharynx to inject saliva into the wound, and a pair of maxillae with backward-pointing teeth. The mandibles and maxillae work together to pierce the skin. The labium splits open and bends back as the stylus penetrates the skin. Saliva is injected to prevent the blood from clotting, and this causes itching and swelling. As soon as she tastes blood, the mosquito stops boring. Blood is sucked up by two pumps inside the head, and the abdomen fills. The female can hold an incredible amount of blood. She has doubled her weight, but can still fly. The mosquito has two stomachs. Plant juices initially go to the crop, but blood bypasses it, going straight to the midgut. If the mosquito sucks blood after having drunk plant juices, both stomachs become clearly visible. Sometimes the mosquito itself is used. Here, one is involuntarily transporting water mite larvae from one pond to another. In tropical regions, mosquitoes may carry serious diseases. Anopheles can carry malaria. It must first bite someone already infected. The protists that cause the disease develop inside the mosquito and migrate to the salivary gland. When the mosquito next bites someone, the disease is transmitted in its saliva. The malaria mosquito can be easily recognized by its characteristic tail-up resting position. Other mosquitoes rest with their abdomen sloped towards the surface. The most dangerous diseases that mosquitoes can carry are malaria, yellow fever, elephantiasis, dengue fever and encephalitis, and animal diseases. The 148 species found in North America represent only about 4% of all mosquito species. Of the perhaps 3,000 different species in the world, most do not carry human diseases. However, those few that do are responsible for more human deaths than any other living creature. Most of the mosquitoes in the United States do not carry serious diseases. All the angler risks is a little itching and swelling. The mosquito risks her life.